Good afternoon. It's a bit of a late start today, and actually I've only just nipped up here to, you guessed it, pick some more beans. This is the most common activity in my existence right now is bean picking, but I'm not complaining because I absolutely love them. But while I'm up here, oh sorry if it's a bit windy, while I'm up here I'm also going to plant out some of the lettuces that we've got in the greenhouse. They need to go out. I'm going to put them under protection. I'm talking about under protection, the pumpkins from last week that got hoiked out of the ground. I am not totally convinced that they're going to survive. Let me show you what they're looking like. So not the best, very wilty. I think funnily enough, the one at the very end that I said when I replanted it that it stemmed like split in half, actually that one looks like it might be surviving. And possibly the one at this end. The rest of them look very, very sad. But I do have 2, or is it 3? No, I think it's only 2 spares in the greenhouse that I'd actually saved for a friend of mine, but circumstances has changed and she doesn't need them anymore. So they are very pot bound and probably a bit stunted from having been in these little tiny pots for way too long. But I think it's worth just doing a bit of hedge betting, and I'm going to plonk them in between the ones that I don't think are going to survive, and just see if they do anything. The chard, some of them looking great. I think they're going to survive. I have also interplanted them with some of the spares we had, so we'll get something out of it. And the turnips, dead patch there, but we do have a patch in the middle there that look like they're going to survive, and a patch at the end, and they're the ones that hadn't actually been dug out. They've just been covered up, like when whoever it was kicking the earth around, they got covered. So yeah, it's not the most doom and gloom. Right, let me plonk the spares in, I think. These are them. Not the finest looking specimens you've ever seen, but I think it's worth putting them in. Seems they're just going to go to waste otherwise. So I reckon probably this centre area is the least likely to survive, so I'll put one there and one in there. If nothing else, it means I can stop feeling guilty about them in the greenhouse. Plant guilt is a terrible and real thing. Okay, lovely. Give them a bit of a soak, and you know, we may possibly get one winter squash this year. Who knows? Okay, let's do those lettuces while I'm in plant mode. I tell you what, like that clip just there, I've just looked back at that bit of footage, and now I'm all microphoned up, and it means that because I never used to have a microphone, I just used to speak straight to the phone. I had to be like at this distance for you to be able to hear me, or I could probably get away with here and I'd have to shout a bit, you know. But now that I can wander off, and I can even be like off screen and you can still hear me, I've had like the camera facing the other way, and I'm just off doing my own thing, and then when I look back at the footage, I'm like this, like you can't see my head at all. So I've got to remember that I've got to check where the camera's actually pointing, rather than just me swanning off having a lovely time doing stuff and just completely forgetting about it, chatting away, and forgetting that you actually have to be able to sort of see me, or at least what I'm doing. Anyway, yeah, lettuces. Okay, so if I squidge this up there, down to there, okay. Okay, that is Little Gem and Frizzy de Beauregard in here. What I'm also going to do is sprinkle some coriander seed. I'm not going to do a row of it or anything, but I'm just going to sprinkle it around because the coriander that's under the EnviroMesh box with the carrots does so brilliantly that I'm just going to chuck it under here as well and see if we can't get the same result. Yep, more beans. I'm not kidding. This is the finest variety of French beans I have ever come across. This is Cobra. What a wonderful bean. Let me just get a bit closer so you can see me. These beans, right, they are prolific for one thing, but they are straight. They actually can get really quite big. Like you see these are not baby beans. But if you are buying French beans in the supermarket, which is, I have to hold my hands up and say, something I do because I love them so much. And I don't find them freezing particularly well. Like I don't find that they store well. So I do buy them. But I always buy the really super miniature ones because they're not stringy at all. Whereas if you bought something like that sort of size in the supermarket, like I wouldn't even buy that because I'd be like, that'd be gross. It'd be really stringy and hollow. These are just wonderful. They can easily be this kind of size. They're perfectly cylindrical. Absolutely magnificent beans. Like I say, prolific to the point of problematic. And the beans just stay beautifully tender and soft. And even if you do get a couple that are a little bit over, I have a magnificent recipe for slow cooked French beans. So normally a French bean is quite a short, you just boil it up and then munch it, like it's not much. But I've got one that you cook for about an hour, and they're absolutely wonderful when they've gone a bit over. But you can use them with ones that haven't gone a bit over as well. It's just a good way of using them up. Anyway, I am supposed to be picking beans and it's going to be a bit of a long process, so I better get back to it. So prolific. I actually wish that I had weighed these since we started picking them, because there's been that many. But at this time of year, when they've actually reached the top of the arch, you've got the full arch effect and the beans are just hanging down waiting for you underneath. It's just wonderful. Like picking off an arch just makes everything so much easier than like a teepee. These snips are actually getting a bit blunt, and I actually got these free from Nowaki at one of their trade stands as a promotional giveaway, and they were great, but they have become quite sticky, so I don't know whether I'm going to service them up because they're still good and then just carry on using them for this, or whether I'm going to be incredibly extravagant and buy myself a new pair of snips. I know what I want to do because buying new snips is incredibly exciting. However, it's a little extravagant, isn't it? And it's not like I would be getting rid of these. These are fantastic, but we use these for a lot of stuff. And it would be nice to just have a really nice pair that were kept super, can't even say it, super sharp, just for picking beans, because it's really annoying when you go to pick them, and then it doesn't quite cut through and then you end up ripping the stem. Not good, not good. Actually, I mean, thinking about it, these are probably, you couldn't get a better pair of snips for bean picking because they've got really like snipe nose, you know, really skinny little nose. They're really quite vicious actually, and it would probably be a better idea to get another pair of snips. If I was going to get another pair of snips, it's not it's not definite yet. But if I was going to get another pair, I'd get a wider nose pair for picking things like courgettes and stuff, because these are really a little bit vicious for doing that. You know, they're a bit stabby. So, anybody got any recommendations for an excellent pair of slightly fatter nose snips than these? I am all ears. So when we're talking about varieties of beans that I love beans. I'm just going to throw that out there. If you're not a great bean fan, it's not it's not very worthwhile, but I love them, particularly French beans. And previous to my discovery of Cobra, these were my absolute king beans, and still are, to be fair. Like, I love to have the mixture of colours. I grow the yellow, the purple and the green. These are actually really prolific as well, but they're just slightly behind those ones, so they're coming a bit slower, but they're starting to really speed up now, so we'll be also covered in purple beans soon. But so this is a variety that's just called Violetto. Such a strong bean, absolutely delicious. This is another one I grow every year. The yellow bean that I've got, I've tried a number of different ones. The one that I always accidentally called Nudeca, which is actually called Necker Gold. I used to know a girl called Nudeca, and it's like stuck in my head for some reason. Not that she looked like a yellow bean or anything, but they used to be my go-to, but I've always found them to be not as strong. And then this year I'm trying one called Sunshine, and they're nice looking beans. I mean, look at that. That's a good looking bean, but really not a prolific plant. Like, I'm getting, they went in on the same day. The plants are half the size, and I'm getting probably a 20th of the beans off them that I am off these purple and the Cobras. Ooh, what else have we got in here? So I am on the lookout for a strong yellow bean variety, if you have one in particular. If not, I will go back to Necker Gold, because it's a great tasting bean, even if it's not the most prolific. A real delicious little chap, that one. Right, I think that is, no it's not, it's never ending. There's more under here. Now we are. I mean, look at that. I'm going to just come around this way to see if, we are getting this many beans like every 2 days at the minute. That's a lot of beans. Here is another little bit of excitement. This is the first Tromboncino of the year. Plant's looking really healthy. This is one of the ones that I'm growing up over the arch. On the other side, I have a climbing courgette, which was called Shooting Star. I think it's not really done very much at the moment, but I've still got hopes for it. But this, here we have the first Tromboncino. Right, so this, let me just shuffle in front of you. This is really small to be picking these things. They get to like absolutely massive, but I found the last couple of years that a bit like courgettes, in the sense of if you leave them too long, suddenly you've got massive ones on your hands. And actually, I didn't really like the taste of them when they got really big. I certainly didn't like the taste of them when they were stored. So you can let these get really big and then store them over winter, you know, bring them on a bit like a butternut squash style thing, except that a butternut squash tastes wonderful and these have no flavour whatsoever, in my opinion, when they get to that size. So we're growing only one plant this year, and we're picking them at this sort of size, using them like you would a courgette, and they're absolutely lovely. So what's really nice about them is, so they're very closely related to a courgette. But you know, the inside of a courgette, you've got the seeds running down like a cucumber, you know, seeds in the centre. Well, this, the whole neck of this, up until the bulbous bit at the bottom here, has no seeds. It's just like solid flesh. And it's a little bit more yummy than a courgette, from my experience, when they're about this age, but still absolutely delicious, and you'd cook it the same way. But obviously the texture of it is much more the outside of the courgette than the soft inside, and an absolute joy. So I'm quite excited about having that for dinner tonight. As you can see, the weather's taken a bit of a turn, and in fact, just before we came up here, I hung the laundry out and it looks like it's about to rain, which is typical. So we might have to make a quick escape. But we are actually having a beef stew with dumplings tonight, which is very wintry for early August, but I think this is what we're going to be having with it. And beans, of course. We have beans with everything at the moment. I'm basically having beans with breakfast cereal at the moment. This is the shooting star courgette. As you can see, it's not really doing a whole lot. It's doing an awful lot more than this poor little cucumber though. Having said that, that cucumber was a bit of a gamble. I've actually got one of the same variety, that's Long de Chin, long Chinese. I've got the same one growing in the polytunnel. I'll actually do a bit of a polytunnel update, I think. Not today, because we're going to run home and rescue the laundry, but yeah, so that's actually looking really, really good. And I think they're definitely a hothouse cucumber because that one has really suffered. Anyway, what have I done with, dropped my Tromboncino. Can't be having that. Lovely jubbly. As you can see, we've been picking courgettes as well. And Mum's raspberries. Look at those beauties. Last thing on the list, some dahlias, and then we're off. I'll see you tomorrow. Good afternoon. Apologies if my eyeliner is all over the show. I mean, yeah, it is a bit... Sorry, I've just been laughing at something really stupid on my phone and crying. So yeah, probably I've got it all over my face, but never mind. We're going to have to go with it because I don't have any mirror or in fact any eyeliner to fix it. So never mind. Right, what are we doing today? I was up here really briefly yesterday just to sort out one of the beds. It was the bed that we had the lettuce growing in. We've eaten all of the lettuce that was in that bed, but there was lots of rocket, like self-seeded stuff and stuff we'd transplanted in there, left over kind of scattered through the centre of the bed. So I saved the two biggest of those plants and shunted them to the end. So we've got now a nice little row of rocket. And then I just cleared what was left in the middle, picked everything and cleared the rest of it. But that bed I have now prepped and got ready for planting into. So I've got a whole load of garlic kale I want to go in there, but I was going to put some purple sprouting broccoli in there. But I think I want to plant the purple sprouting broccoli further up the plot in the bed that we currently have the last of the in-ground potatoes growing in. So we're going to clear that bed today. I'm going to get this bed planted up. Now in that bed that we've got potatoes currently, we have some self-seeded cima rapa from 2 years back. It's been kind of self-seeding in the same bed and it's been really successful. So I didn't want to waste those plants because obviously if we're digging up the potatoes, they're going to get dug up as well. So yesterday I did a little bit of a test transplant of one of the plants, moved it into that bed and it seems to have survived and looks absolutely fine. So I'm going to move the rest of them today and then get the rest of this bed planted up and we are rocketing on. Right, that's my first job. Move the cima rapa, plant the garlic kale out, action stations. This is them. You can see they're looking really healthy. It's such a shame to have to move them. I'm going to try and take as much soil with each one of them as possible, you know, just disturb them as little as I can because they don't want to be moved. Like, this isn't ideal, but I really do need to get the potatoes out from underneath them. So we can just give it a go. It would be a shame if they didn't transplant. But like I said, that one that I tested yesterday, it hasn't collapsed. It looks all right. So I've got high hopes. Potatoes coming up. Okay, that is the cima rapa moved. I've got these garlic kales to go in. Now this is a plant that I've never grown before, and it says to pick the leaves as baby leaf, that they taste really strong of garlic, which sounds fantastic, but they also say, that you have to plant them 60 centimetres apart, which is huge, which would mean I barely even get 2 in a row here, so I just have 4 in this end. And yes, weighing it up, because that's quite a lot of space. Like I could fit a lot of stuff in this like third of a bed here. But the question is, do I jam them in close together, or closer than that together, like say 4 in a row, 2 rows of 4, and then see if we actually like the taste of it, and then maybe next year plant them big? Or do I give them the proper spacing and let them do their thing at like maximum, this is me as a garlic kale plant, and then be able to make a better judgment on whether it's something we want to grow in the future? I don't know. I shall discuss with the mother, see what she thinks. After much consultation, we decided to just go with 4 in this space and to use the areas between them for short-term crops like radishes, spring onions, something like that, because these will take a long time to come up to their full size, so we can use the space between them in the meantime. So that's the plan. Anyway, I'm going to get these in with their lime because they're brassicas, and then I'm going to prune the tomatoes. All I'm doing is winding them up the top, taking out their, their little branching bits, and removing the foliage from the bottom so that the basil underneath has a bit more light and space. That's my jobs. Oh, and then we're going to dig out the potatoes in the top bed. Sorry about the hold up. Mum is looking for gloves, but she can currently find only right-hand gloves. I need to put in an order for some new gloves, I think. Got them? She's found some. She's found a left-hand glove. So this is the last of the in-the-ground potatoes that we've got. Actually, it's the last of the potatoes we've got on the whole allotment. We've taken the ones out of the pots, we've taken the ones out of the top bed, and these are the ones that went in on the 2nd of April. So they've been in the bed for like 4 months. And the varieties were Swift, Home Garden, Aram Pilot, none of which are main crop from my memory. I think they're all second earlies. So yeah, these guys have been in here a very long time. And this soil is really, really poor, so I'll be surprised if we've got anything left in here at all. We dug up half of this bed a little bit sporadically earlier in the year. I would say probably about 6 weeks ago. A couple of the plants had started to look really sad, and there was some like vague panic about blight, but I think it was just panic. The moment anything happens to your tomatoes or your potatoes, you just get like a big siren in your head saying blight, 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 but it wasn't. But it did lead us to digging these up in a bit of a sporadic manner. And so we can't remember where they are because all of the potato plants have died back now. There's no real indicator as to where the potatoes are, so this is kind of like a treasure hunt through concrete. Not a bad haul. I'm pretty happy with that considering the poor things were growing in concrete. I am not kidding. That ground was absolutely rock solid. But yeah, that is not bad, and some of them are actually quite a good size. There's some beautiful long lovelies in there. Yeah, I'm really happy with that. I mean, we'd already dug out most of that bed. But obviously the potatoes had died back apart from the one potato, so we didn't know where we had already dug them out from compared to like where there was still a plant. So yeah, it was a good surprise haul that was. But that bed is now clear, and Mum is giving it a good old rake with that monster rake that Johanna bought us. And then we'll see what we're going to do. I'm going to chuck a bag of manure on it like normal. But I'm not sure whether to put the purple sprouting in there or not. And I probably won't be putting it in there today because I don't have any spare bed covers. And obviously fresh manure and then not covering whatever you've planted in there is a recipe for disaster on this allotment. So I'm going to get a hat. That's better. It's not the most attractive hat in the world, but it will do. What was I saying? Yeah, so that bed, we put the potatoes in, obviously springtime, and it hadn't been mulched when we put the potatoes in. So it hadn't had that August mulch. So the previous time, so it's been nearly 2 years since we've mulched that bed. It'll be 2 years this spring, so like a year and a half since we've mulched it, and my goodness, you can really see the difference. So it was just concrete basically. I mean, I was pooped when I finished that. Had to go and have a quiet lie down. Well, no surprises for guessing that a job I've got to do today is pick some more beans. Yes, it's getting a bit nuts actually. I think my recipe this week is going to have to be a bean recipe because that's basically all we've got, and the fridge is full of them. So I'll be doing that. But what we had actually intended to do this morning when we were on our way up here, we'd nipped over to the allotment shop, you know, where we pick up the compost, because I needed some more potting compost. I got stuff to sow. Shop was closed. Shop was closed, and all there was on there was a little note saying, yeah, we're shut for the next 2 Saturdays. Marvellous. What have I got to do before I leave this afternoon? I have got to feed the tomatoes. This is going to be the first proper feed in there because obviously we'd only just put the soil in when I got the tomatoes in. So it had its kind of inbuilt feed in there, and also we put some manure in there and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to give that a really good seaweed feed with my trusty Shropshire seaweed. I know, not got the correct hat on. It's a bit warm for that one though. They need to make a baseball cap as well so I can do Shropshire seaweed all year round. While I'm waiting for this to fill, I've just noticed the garlic chives are starting to flower. They are one of the most fantastic discoveries that we've made. I know it's a pretty standard thing, but we've always grown chives, obviously, but garlic chives I just assumed was like a chive that tasted a bit garlicky, but they're really quite different. And the flowers are out of this world. I mean, they're just a plant that I would grow in the back garden, you know, just because they're that beautiful, and they attract so many hoverflies and bees, and they taste phenomenal. We've got absolutely masses of little like self-seeded stuff around them all coming up now. So I've been digging them up in clumps and like passing them off to everybody on the allotment site, because I think they're such a great herb. I mean, they're just wonderful. You use them the same way that you would use chives, but they've got quite a different texture because they've got a strap leaf, like very flat rather than round and hollow like a chive. Yeah, I just think they're blooming brilliant. Yeah, sorry, tangent there, but stunners, little stunners. Right, let's go and do these tomatoes. I've slowly been dotting all of those exciting basils that we had in here. So the first wave that I planted was the Thai basil, the Genovese basil, and the little purple basil with the small leaves. And then Ali sent me all those other ones. There was aniseed basil, holy basil, cinnamon basil, just a whole load of them, and I sowed all of them. Not all the seed, but I sowed all the different varieties and have just sort of like, as they've been coming up to size, dotting them around in under here. We've actually had quite a lot of slug damage or snail damage on the basil in here, and that's never really happened to me before. I've always found that basil has just been left alone. Well, not this year. They've been quite badly eaten. Some of them look absolutely fine, like this little purple one down here is looking brilliant. And what a colour, it's absolutely gorgeous. But yeah, a lot of the other ones, the purple ones on that side, I mean, they're just sticks now. It's great. Right, refill. Refill! I'm so chuffed with these tomatoes, actually. You know, considering they were all so late and just so stunted before, they're just looking fantastic. And we've got so many tomatoes on them, which is obviously wildly exciting. Loads of flowers. I'll tell you which, the black moon, we've got tons of flowers on, and it's already started to set fruit properly, which is very exciting. Almost all of them have set fruit. There's a couple of them, I mean, some of them are really still only very, very tiny, but they've actually got something on them, which is certainly better than not having anything on them. Yeah, I'll show you in a minute. Let me just finish watering these chaps. So now that I've started feeding them, I'll feed them every week. It's quite handy. I mean, 2 of these big watering cans does the whole lot. So it's, as long as the soil hasn't got too dry. So one of the problems we've had in the past has been letting the soil really dry out in here, and then it takes such a lot of work to get them to actually, to get the soil, sorry, to actually like reabsorb it. It becomes hydrophobic, which is just a nightmare when that happens. It's just such a pain. But when you actually manage to keep it reasonably well watered, like we're doing this year, it only takes 2 watering cans with, you know, like 4 big scoops of feed in it, and you're done. So I think that's pretty good. Let me show you these tomatoes. We have got our first atomic fusions coming along here. Garnets. Green Doctor has just started. The first Japanese black trofeli. Sorry, this isn't focusing very well, but you get my point. Some very good looking black moons in there. I love the way these just come up at the back. They're beautiful. They look like spiders. Sun gold. Now in there, don't know if you can see, just in there, we have our first black strawberry. They're the ones that JB gave me. He said they were his favourite from last year, so that is exciting. But yeah, pretty much every single plant in here has got some sort of fruit forming on it. Can't ask for more than that. Oof. Yeah, good old Shropshire seaweed. This actually is one I've been using for ages. I was originally just given some, you know, when they reach out and were like, do you fancy trying our seaweed? I love it. I'm actually in contact with them at the moment because I'm trying to get a refill station set up in the Allotment shop, the one that was closed this morning, because they had one in Teddington that I don't think is still there anymore. It was in a health food shop in Teddington where you could just go along, you know, with your milk jug and get a refill, which seems to me like a pretty good way to go. So hopefully we're going to have a Shropshire seaweed, that's a bit of a tongue twister, Shropshire seaweed refill centre at the Manor Road Allotment shop. Oh, by the way, you can get a discount on this. I've just remembered, I think I did this last year. I wonder if it still works. Well, I'll put it down below anyway. 20% discount. Good stuff. With the code, I think it's plot 37, but I'll write it down there. I'm not very good with these things. Girly girlies, you alright? Oh, pants. Pooh, girlies. Pooh. Look at this. Who was this? We have got under here 2 apple trees that never give us any apples. Like, they start off every year and they blossom beautifully, but they're in a pants place there, really. Look, they're right under the oak tree. Not that you can see, but there's a big oak tree above them. And this year, the one on this side, we gave it a huge prune back like the last 3 years, and it's really got a nice shape to it and it looks really healthy. And we've had, look at the size of these apples. Like, normally they get to this big and fall off. We've been watching this one get bigger and bigger and more, well, closer and closer to the time that we get to eat it, and somebody else has had a go at it. There's like 3 others on there that are about this sort of size. I think I'm just going to take them. I'm just going to take them home with me. I can still eat that, I'll just cut that bit out. I'm not precious about these things, but yeah, that's annoying. That looks like parakeets. Pooh. But yeah, I'm going to pick the other ones. Better safe than sorry. Also got 2 more figs to pick. There's 2 more in there. I don't know if you can see me, but there's 2 more just about here, but I don't think they are quite ready. But these 2 came off really easily, so.
Up the back, look, it's got a bit of red on it.
This one,
yeah,
it's not ready though.
Okay.
These 2 came off perfectly. Okay. Yeah, I think. I'm so happy with that. Let me just get the eaten one as well. If I turn it around so the eaten side's at the back, look at that! 3 beautiful apples. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Taste test. Right, that bit can go to the girlies.
Feel like it's right?
It feels wonderful. We'll take that half home. Let's have this bit. This will be our taste bit. Sufficiently far away from the animal bits. And just chop it in half. Hold your horses. Are you ready for the excitement?
I am actually. Get quite into apples these days.
Mm.
Is there somebody watching us?
Somebody is watching us. They are watching us.
Oh, lovely flavour. It's not a really hard apple though. Lovely flavour, but
Oh, it's nice though.
not crunchy.
That's really nice.
Very good.
It's delicious. And tastes of wild success. I know, girlies, I got a bit for you too, look. This bit. Let me just chop it up.
They like it sliced up.
Oh, do they?
They like it sliced up.
Shall I carve it into a rose?
And put it into the
Okay.
thing so they can get it out.
Come on, girlies. Look at this bit of excites. Come on. on, girlies, got some excitement. There you go. Num num and a bit of scrum. There you go, all yours, girls. All yours, girls. No excitement for the apple. Here, I've got a bit for you that you can just roll around in the dirt and enjoy muddy. Those girls seem to have a penchant for things covered in mud. You give them anything lovely, they just roll it around in the dirt a couple of times before they'll even deign to eat it. Hey, Rubes? Yeah, I think they like it though. Before somebody tells me I needed to remove the apple pips because it will kill the chickens, I have done so. I have done so. Right, where's these figgies? No, I think they should just come off. One figgy. Two figgy. They've got the other one's out here, isn't it? Yeah, I think so. Nice and soft. Yep, it's ready. Gorgeous, 3 gorgeous figs.
Still in there, yep.
I have had a couple of people ask me to demonstrate the old bean slicer controversy on potty mouth, but my runner beans are not ready. They're so close, but at the moment it's just French bean frenzy and there's no point using a bean slicer on a French bean. It's really all about the runner bean scene and I don't have any yet, so as soon as I have runner beans, I will demonstrate. Despite Tony's, like, I don't know what the man was talking about. It's a wonderful thing. He obviously just hasn't quite got it. He's doing something wrong. Okay, goodies. Courgettes, beans, apples, figs. What more could a girl want? Mustn't forget this half a good apple. Was there anything else we needed to pick?
I don't think so. You've got the colour.
Oh no, kale.
There's the one on the other side, but it's much bigger.
Yeah, the big one. Taking some of this kale home with us this evening. Not that I'm saying we're sick of beans or anything, but yeah, just fancied a bit of a change. So I'll take some of the rougher leaves from the bottom of these guys. You can see this bed. We've got chickpeas in that end that didn't really ever get going, which is funny because the chickpeas I planted like 2 weeks earlier in the bed up there are looking fantastic. Got a bit of bietta, you know, just like the standard green chard in there. Some turnips also been completely got at by every bug on the planet. And then we've got the komatsuna here, which really was devoured by, I think in the end what got them was the birds. They were initially slugged and now they're really they've got like classic bird damage. So, but a lot of this stuff is just getting eaten. We've only got this one cover, so I'm actually going to move this cover now over the stuff which I've just planted in that other bed this morning, and then throw some netting over it because this stuff is just being eaten really, and this is not providing any protection for it. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Don't lean on the bed supports, Jessie. Cheers, chaps. Ah, oh, I tell you what, it is currently Sunday. And the weather has suddenly heated up. Oh, I don't have the microphone on. One sec. There we go. Oh, back to the glass of wine. God, I tell you what, the moment you move, so we're like 31 today, and because we've had loads of rain over the last couple of days, the humidity, it's like, can you hear me breathing heavily? It's like soup trying to breathe in. And the moment I've gone downstairs to go and get my microphone, I am sweaty. Anyway, cheers to the next couple of days of magnificent sunshine that we're about to get. In actual fact, I'm finishing this video on the Sunday because normally it's a mad rush Monday trying to finish it because I'm normally at the allotment Sunday. Boy, am I sweaty. I've got to make sure I don't just down that because it's really nice and cold. Right, what were the things that I had to mention at the end? Right, Shropshire Seaweed, I do have a code. There is a link underneath and the discount code is plot37, no gap, capital P. So that should get you 10% off, I believe. Or it could be 20, I'm not sure, but it's a discount nonetheless. So that's exciting. I actually managed to find those details. I'm talking about incredible professionalism. I spoke at the end of last week's video about getting out a recipe. Well, the recipe was supposed to be out on Friday or tomorrow. I think I'd planned for Saturday. But I realised that although I'd filmed it when I initially made the fig and rocket salad, there were some bits that I hadn't filmed and I needed to wait for another fig to be ripe so that I could film it. So this is going to be one of those things I've got to get back into the habit of filming while I'm cooking and making sure I've got all the cuts in the one thing, because normally when I'm cooking I'm just well excited about eating it, and so the filming kind of falls by the wayside because filming does make things take an awful lot longer. But yeah, so there is still, the fig video is coming out. It'll be coming out early this week this time because I've done it all apart from like 2 shots that need to be redone. And I needed to wait for the figs, which I have now picked, which you saw like yesterday. I picked them, so we're in good stead. I'm currently on the gather for my bean recipes, just trying to think about which ones I'm going to do first, which ones might be the most useful. Yeah, has everybody else been inundated? Are you inundated with beans as well? I think it's just a really fantastic year for beans. God, I'm so sweaty. I'm so hot. I'm going to go and sit outside, having a barbecue. I've got to go and get things marinating. There will be beans and courgettes on the barbecue. One of my favourite things at the moment is halloumi and courgette skewers just on the barbecue, and the halloumi just goes and the courgette's wonderful and crunchy. Love it. So I'm having that for dinner tonight. But yeah, I do believe that's about it, chaps. What else have we got to talk about? Yeah, I'll be demonstrating bean slicer next week, I think, because we've got a couple of runner beans which are just about ready, which I'm really excited about. Those potatoes that we dug up, like one of the things that Mum loves the most, and it's been a bit of a slow one this year, but it's just like fresh sliced runner beans with the bean slicer, butter and like steamed potatoes straight out of the ground. It's her fave, so she should be able to have that next week, which is tick for her. But yeah, I'm going to get outside before I melt. So it is cheers to my patrons, who are the people you see at the end of this vlog, the names that come up. Just, I can't even say thank you enough. They are the reason that these vlogs keep going. They're the reason that I can keep doing it, and absolutely blinding. So cheers to them, as always. They will get the cooking videos earlier than everybody else, so it will be slightly less late for them. But I'm going to get back into the rhythm. Like for nearly a year and a half, I did 2 videos a week. But I've got into the 1 video a week habit now, so I have to work myself back up into that. Obviously, the other video a week is going to be a short one. So this is the vlog, which is a mammoth video. I don't know why they just keep getting longer. I was looking back at the old videos. I was trying to find something the other day. They're so short. They're like 31 minutes, 29 minutes, and now we're up to like an hour every time. I'm going to try not to go over the hour mark because that's just getting ridiculous. So yeah, cheers to my patrons who are extremely patient. I think that's that's the main thing about being a patron of Plot 37, patience and understanding. Cheers to them, and cheers to everybody else. Are you also having a bean year? Soft fruit and beans it seems to be this year. And what were the two things? I asked for 2 recommendations, didn't I? Oh yeah, firstly, any quite blunt-nosed snips. So those ones that I've got from Niwaki are really, really like needlepoint snips, which are brilliant for getting in and around things, but for taking courgettes and stuff off, I want something that's a little less stabby. So if you've got any recommendations on them, very happy for that. And yellow beans. I asked on Instagram the other day actually about yellow beans, and I had a couple of people saying that their sunshine, the one that I'm growing, has been really prolific for them. So maybe it's just me. But they're growing over the same arch as the cobra in like same conditions, planted out the same day, sown the same day. So it seems weird that they're not doing so well. But yeah, any other than sunshine and necker gold, let me know. Right, yes, it's that time. It's cheers, chaps. I've got to get outside. I'm going to go and lay in the grass. The back garden is now in the shade. So I'm going to stick some spare ribs onto marinade and I'm going to go and faint in the grass, I think. Cheers, chaps. See you next week. Actually, I'll see you before next week, but you know. Oh, cheers.